Welcome to the podcast. This is episode 2, Smoke Signal Podcast. I'm Jeremy, aka Smoke Signal. This is my friend, Amy Harris. She's going to tell her story today, and she's got a good one. God's been really good to her. So just take a listen to her story, and then we'll do a quick Q&A afterwards.
Hi, how y'all doing? I just want to come on here today and tell a lot about what God's done in my life. I guess I'll start off by saying in my childhood, I did attend church with my mom, not every Sunday, but I did have God in my life. Went to a Baptist church, and it was really great. Did a lot of the kids programs and all that stuff. But I came from a broken home. My parents got divorced when I was 7, and the relationship with my dad wasn't too great after that. I really tried my hardest to have a relationship with him, but he didn't reciprocate. So that I learned as I got older left me feeling like I wasn't enough, unloved, unwanted, like I did not matter. I always felt like out of everybody in the room, if I was gone, it wouldn't matter. And obviously that's further from the truth. But growing up, it was just really hard. And I started off with depression probably maybe end of junior high, at least all through high school. Um, and so that was like kind of the foundation of my childhood. I want to skip to, I got into a relationship when I was 19 years old, and we were together for a while. I got pregnant, and I was pretty excited about it, really excited. I was attending church throughout the whole pregnancy, praying for everything to go well and all that good stuff. Well, he broke up with me when I was 7 months pregnant, and it was my first heartbreak. So it was really hard to go through while being pregnant. And as I was coming to an end of the pregnancy, I was really having this dream in my head that I'm going to have this baby, we're going to get back together, and everything would be great. Well, when I was 39 weeks pregnant, so a week before she was due, or I was due with her, I found out that she was stillborn. There was no heartbeat. So I had to be induced and deliver a baby that I could not keep, that was gone. And it was the hardest thing that I have ever been through. And so turns out he was cheating on me almost the whole time, which I had no idea. And he ended up leaving the hospital after I delivered to go be with her. And it was just, the whole situation was really devastating. I was 20 years old, planning a funeral, writing an obituary, all things that you shouldn't have to deal with at any age, losing a child. But that young, it was really, really tragic. And so after that, things just started to spiral in my life. Instead of turning to God, because my foundation wasn't that great, I turned to the world. And that meant drinking first and foremost. I was a supervisor at a bank during that time, and I ended up stealing $40. I did probably steal a little bit more than that. I can't really remember now at this time, but that instance was $40. I did that just so I can go leave work and get drunk because I couldn't deal with my feelings. And I ended up getting caught. Thankfully, I knew the district manager pretty well because he was in a relationship with my best friend. So I did not go to jail. I did, however, get fired though. And I found out that I was about to be promoted to an assistant manager at 20 years old. So after that, I just kept on drinking and drinking and drinking. And it never helped anything. It just made things worse. So about 7 months after that happened, I met the father of my kids. And I just thought, wow, he was everything. That he was just going to fix everything and things were going to be great. We were together for probably about maybe a year, and then I got pregnant with my son, and things seemed to be going pretty well with us. But about my son was 7 months old, and I took him to go to my friend's house because I was going to go there, and we were drinking and stuff. And so um, he got mad, his dad, when he found out where I was, because the friend of mine, he didn't like her boyfriend. So he got mad because I brought our son there. So he had got kicked out of the house. We stayed with my mom. My mom kicked him out like a week before that because he laid his hands on me for the first time, gave me a black eye. And so he showed up at the house, and my mom called me and said, hey, you need to come here, and you need to have him leave, because if he doesn't leave, I'm going to call the police. So I came home, and after that first punch, there was already a fear in me of him. And he was sleeping by the time I got there, and I had to wake him up. And I woke him up, and he asked me where I was at. And I did lie to him that day about where I was at. I just said I was at another friend's house. But after I told him, he kind of looked back, and he turned around, and he just started hitting me, and continued to hit me, and continued to hit me over and over again. I wore glasses at the time. He knocked my glasses off. The whole time he was going for my face. So I just kept crouching down and just continued on being hit. And he was asking me to leave, and I would tell him, like, I don't have my glasses, I can't leave. And so finally I just thought, well, let me just leave, so he could stop this, because I had never been into a fight, still to this day have never been into a fight with anybody. So this is my first time ever in life getting beat up by a full-grown, 6-foot, big guy. And it really, really put so much fear in my heart. I kind of skipped it, but as I got up, my mom had called the police, so the police came down, and he ended up running out. He didn't go to jail. He did a few months later, so he ended up serving a little bit of time for it. But yeah, after that, I was really, really scared of him. So people wonder, like, why women stay in domestic violence situations. For me, it was because of fear. Because when not only was I abused physically, but I was abused mentally and emotionally as well. So there were a lot of empty threats made, but you don't know that they're empty threats. I didn't realize a lot of things until years later. So anyways, we just continued on in a relationship, and we were partying, we were drinking. I started doing coke, and I grew up in Illinois, so that's where we lived at first. We moved down to Texas, and so it really kind of got me isolated from everybody. I did have his family. They still are pretty great to me. We have a good relationship. But when you're away from everything and it makes you feel more isolated, it's just really hard, And so I just continued on with a toxic relationship and in addiction. But it was easy to be addicted because I was a functional addict. I was able to work. I was able to maintain being a mom and just all the things you need to do in life. But when I was not at work at nighttime, I'm going out to the bars and, doing drugs, mainly coke, and because I wanted to try to continue on the party. So this went on for a lot of years, a lot. And then in 2018, I found out he was cheating on me, and I knew some people that were selling some ecstasy pills. Now, I really didn't do them a long time ago, I guess, when they were popular. But to my knowledge, from what I heard of them, there was always like they were made with cocaine or heroin. And because I would take these pills and I would be awake, I just assumed I'm taking cocaine. And what it did was it helped me focus on what was not going on in my head, but everything else. I'd be at work, I'd be, occupied with other things. And so um, then I ended up breaking up with him, and things only escalated from there. He kind of like had a way of just trapping me back into a relationship, which happened a couple times. And these pills, the situation with those, it got really, really bad. I was extremely addicted, more than anything that I had ever been addicted to before. And so I ended up, he started selling them, which didn't make it any easier, but he had a bunch of bags of them and he asked me to go put them up. And I left one in my purse, not knowingly. I got pulled over, and I ended up getting caught with 33 of these pills in my purse. So I went to jail. Thankfully, I was able to get bonded out before I went to the county. But that next Monday, when I did go to the county jail, now this was when I was 35. It was my first felony, and really like the only time I had ever been in major trouble in my whole life. And so I went to the county court that next Monday. And after I left court that day, I just felt this sense of peace in my heart about it. Like God was telling me, without me knowing it was God telling me, that everything was going to be okay. So I just continued to go to court. And when you get caught with pills, they have to do a lab report. So they send these things to the lab to test them, to find out what's in them. And unknowingly to me, I had been doing meth the entire time. I had done coke forever. I had been offered meth before. That's not something that I would have ever chose to do. So just knowing that I got myself addicted to something that was not really my choice in a way, or would have been my choice, that was a low blow. And so after that, I just said, you know what, forget it. I mean, I've already done it, so might as well do it. And actually started doing buying that actual drug. Well, I ended up going to court for that charge for until January of the next year, so about 9 months. And my lawyer came up to me that day, I think it was January 21st, and he said, well, you better tell people that you got the best lawyer ever because the charges have been dropped. And that was by the grace of God, because God knew that I was not made to go into prison. Like, it would have really messed some things up in my life. So I'm really thankful to God for that. So after that, I kind of it wasn't a great time in life at all. I wasn't sleeping right. I wasn't eating right. I had no patience. I just was still dealing with abuse. And after I had broke up with him 2 years before that or so, and he kind of forced us back together because I guess he felt the control was slipping, the abuse got worse. And for a long time, I could just, cower down and keep my mouth shut in order for me not to get hit. But after a while, you can't do that anymore. Like, there's only so much you can take. And so the abuse just got worse and worse. So in February of 2022, I was talking to his sister on the phone. And I told her, I said, I think I just need to leave and keep on going. And when I said that, I knew that that was God telling me that. And that was the first time that I knowingly knew that God was speaking to me. And so, and at this time, I wasn't living for God at all. I would go to church here and there, but in no way did I have a relationship with God. And I definitely wasn't making choices that would be pleasing to God at all. So with that little bit of a message from God, it gave me confidence to do what I needed to do. And 2 months later, there was a bad situation that happened, and I was hit pretty hard. and I was going to leave him. It was a Saturday. I had already had all my stuff together, but I said, you know what? The next day's Easter, so I'm just going to wait. I'll spend the day with my kids, and then I'll leave. And so I did that. But the next morning, I woke up, and I would think I was awake the whole night, actually. I had a phone call from my mom early in the morning, and my grandpa passed away that day. And so I called him to tell him, and he came back and went up and woke up my kids, and it was just a big mess. And when I told him that I didn't wish that he would have woke up the kids and told him, he's throwing gas cans at me and attacking me and all this other stuff. So he left the house. He was worried about spending Easter with his friends, which that was God working that out in the best part for me to be able to leave that day. So I called his sister. She came and got me. And after that, I ended up staying in hotels for a while. Things were not easy. I was all by myself. My kids, I had two kids at this point. I forgot to mention in 2007, or in 2008, I'm sorry, I had a daughter. And so they both stayed because they were fine where they were at. I just needed to be the one to go. So that was really hard for me, being away from them, not being able to see them, because I wanted to stay away and make sure that he didn't sucker me back in or hurt me because he was angry finding out, that I'm gone and all that stuff. So I ended up in a hotel, and I was talking to his brother, and his brother was really talking to me about God and started praying for me, and I just dropped to my knees and I just cried, and I cried and I cried. And it was a pivotal moment because I know that it was like a breakthrough coming. And after that, I just started to let God in a little bit at a time. And so I decided, well, you know what? I've left. This is to better my life for me and for my kids. So I need to get off drugs. And I know it was by the grace of God, because I had been on drugs since I was 19 years old. And I was now, I guess, 38, all those years. I was never able to stop. But without rehab, without anything at all, just God. It was just God. God did it, because I couldn't do it by myself. And so I ended up at a hotel that was right next door to a church. And I had thought, I need to go to church. I don't have a car, because when I left, I didn't have a job, a car. I didn't have anything, no money, no place to stay and all that stuff. But I remembered that church. And July 11th, 2022, I walked into Celebration of Life Church here in Baytown, Texas. And man, I tell you what, it was the best decision, one of the best decisions that I have made, because it was a place of meeting great people that just led me closer and closer to God. And since that time, well, I skipped one thing, sorry. So in August, right after that, my ex ended up coming to the hotel, and it's a big, long, drawn out story. I'm not going to get into all of it, but what I can tell you is that day he asked to use my phone, saw something in there he didn't like, and broke my phone, which had happened numerous times. Broke my phone, and then he started attacking me. At which point, my son and his brother and another guy had to pull him off of me. He was chasing me around. He went inside the hotel room where my son had a gun that he had got from his grandpa that he didn't carry around or do anything stupid with, but it was in there. And he got that gun, and he pulled the trigger, pointing it at me. And there was nothing in the chamber. So obviously I was okay. But after that, he cocked that gun, and his little brother ended up getting it away from him. So the cops got called, and he went to jail. Well, I ended up going to work, and when I came home from work, I had this girl trying to just like, I felt like the devil was really trying to like come back in, like, and knowing that God just did this big thing for me. Because although it was a tragic situation, like, I really look on the bright side of it, that I'm alive and that he got him away from me. So when I got home from work, this girl's telling me that she can get me these stolen phones and da da da, and invites me into her room where she's got drugs sitting around and all this stuff. And I just sat there and I'm like, I got to get out of here. Like, this is not a good environment to be in. So I went to my room and I started reading the Bible. And as I'm reading the Bible, God said, you did your part. Now I stepped in and did mine. And so things were slowly getting better and better. I had gotten a job by that point. And then I ended up getting a car, and then but I was still worried about this man and what he did and his court dates and all of that stuff. But eventually, God put it in my heart that this is not me. This is not my situation to worry about anymore. That my part is done. That this now is between him and the courts, and I have nothing to worry about. So that really brought a lot of peace to me. And then life just continued to get better and better. I no longer had anxiety. I no longer had depression. I no longer lived in fear. I was starting to know my worth and my identity in God, that I'm pretty great and that I deserve to be treated great, and I deserve nothing but good things, because that's what God has for all of us, a plan. And so I couldn't be more grateful. After a year of staying at that hotel, I got a house that I've been at now for 3 years, and I still go to the same church. I serve there. I have a huge family of such good people. My children are doing great, and I couldn't be more happy and more grateful to God for what he's done for my family and for me and in my life. Because if God hadn't stepped in, I mean, I could be dead now. I could have overdosed. Only God knows. But I'm excited to see what God's going to do in my life, because I just can't imagine. I know it's going to be great. So, yeah, thank you all for listening. And yeah.
That was a great story, Amy. I
Thank you.
appreciate you sharing it. So let me ask you, I want to ask you a couple quick questions. What I found really interesting is how you talked about you weren't serving God at the time, but you actually heard him speak to you. And that's really powerful to me, because I experienced kind of the same thing. Even though I had experienced God before, I wasn't living for him at all.
Mm-hmm.
But he just stepped in and started talking to me. He pursued me and he chased after me. Sounds like it was similar for you. So when he did speak to you that first time, how did you know it was him? Because I think that might be a question people will ask as well. How did you know it was God? Can you maybe?
I mean, I can't really explain it. I just wholeheartedly knew. It was just really gut instinct, and God will do that because God wants you to know it's him, and God will make sure that when he wants to be heard, he's going to be heard. And God knew that I needed to hear that, and knew that I needed to know that it was coming from God. So, like I said, that way I got that courage, because it sparked something. And but yeah, it wasn't like a audible voice or anything like that. Like I said, it was me. I was the one who made the statement, but God put those words right into my mouth.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I want to ask now, when you decided that, so you went to this church, Celebration of Life.
Mm-hmm.
You went in there and you gave your life to God. What was that like? Did they call you to the front? You just walked up there. Did it happen just right there in the seat where you were sitting at? Like, what was that like for you?
I mean, there probably was an altar call, because there always is. I I don't even remember. I just know I walked into that place, and the feeling that I had, I was home, and um, and that's the bottom line. Like, I was home. God called me home, and yeah. I mean, I always had God in my heart. I asked God in my heart like in third grade, but I guess it was just a moment with me and God, you know.
That's awesome. I think it's, I know, like in my story and in other people's story, it seems like once you give your life to God that first time, He won't really let you. He won't leave you alone.
Yeah.
He'll there may be seasons, where you kind of fall away is the word a lot of people like to use, or backslide. That's the word they used to use when I was a kid. But it seems like once you make that commitment with God, He never breaks it with you.
Right.
Even I know it was that way with me. Even in my worst moments and just living in sin, it was like He was always pursuing me and chasing after me. And
Yeah,
just,
that's what He does with everybody, even before they're committed to Him, because He wants
yeah,
all of us. We're made for God, not for this world. So
that's good. Well, I just want to tell you, that's more in depth than what I've heard your story, and you have a powerful story, and you should definitely share it with lots of people. And I believe God's going to open up a lot of doors for you to talk to people and share your story, and be a mentor in their life and reach a lot of people. So
yeah.
I thank you for sharing your story, and I hope y'all will join us for episode 3 next week. Y'all have a great day.
Yeah, and let me just say before we go that I just encourage everyone just to try God, because you will not be disappointed with what can happen in your life. And you could try and try and try, but until you try God, things are never going to be right. And Jesus loves you and wants you. And I love y'all. Thank you so much.